guys, today I'm really excited because we're going to be building my new PC. It's going to have a white and RGB theme and I can't wait. First up, let's go through all the parts. And yes, this PC is partly sponsored. For RAM, I'll be using the XPG Spectrix D60G 3600MHz 4x8GB sticks. Elgato 4K 60 Pro capture card, Asus GeForce GTX 1050 Ti Cerberus graphics card. I will be upgrading to an RTX 3060 Ti right after this, but due to policy I have to film with this one. Head over to my Instagram, that.petra, to see what my PC looks like with the correct graphics card put in. The CPU I'll be using is the AMD Ryzen 7 3700X. I'll also be using the Gigabyte B550 Gaming X motherboard. For power supply, I'll be using the NCXT C850W. My CPU cooler is also from NCXT and it's the Kraken C73. I'll be using two M.2 SSDs from Silicon Power. This one is the US 72TB one. I also have a 1TB version. And finally, the case I'm using is the Thermaltake View 51 TG Snow ARGB. And that's all of them. All the parts will be listed in the description below. Okay, so before we can actually start putting together my new PC, we have to take apart my old one. This is really sad to watch, but I need some parts that are already installed in my old PC. If you want to reminisce and see how I put this PC together, I actually filmed a whole video on it and I'll put a little card here that you can click if you want to watch that after this video. Here you can see me take out my CPU because I'll be reusing that one. Just make sure you wipe off the old thermal paste before you install it in the PC and you'll be all good. The motherboard was sent over by Gigabyte themselves and I'm really happy about it. It's been running perfectly and it suits all my needs for my components. So I'm just putting my CPU in and then removing the pre-installed CPU fan brackets because we don't need those. Next up is installing the RAM, which is a pretty straightforward process. Just make sure the clips are open and you put them in the right way and should be good. I think these look really good even when turned off, but put some light on them and they're beautiful. I love them. We're gonna put the motherboard aside for a minute and start working on the fans, more specifically the CPU cooler. I've already done an unboxing video of this, so I'll put a link to that video up in the card. Let's just speed through this. Alongside the NCXT fans, I'll also be using some white fans from Thermaltake to add better cooling to my case as well as to stick to that white theme. Here I'm just swapping out the little pre-installed bracket because it was made for an Intel motherboard. Really quick and easy, and then just screw it in. While we watch me install the CPU cooler, let me know in the comments below if you would use your PC more for gaming or for work. And that's the CPU cooler installed on the motherboard. Next up is the SSD. I'll be using two M.2 SSDs, so they are mounted directly on the motherboard. Super easy process with way less cables and gives you a lot faster speeds, so win-win. Back to the CPU cooler and we're gonna plug in all the cables. We're also going to prep the fans by screwing them into the radiator. This is the radiator connected to the CPU cooler, so it keeps everything nice and cool. If you're enjoying the video so far, please consider giving it a like, it really helps a lot, thanks. With the motherboard prepped, we're gonna start putting it into our case, along with the radiator and fans, of course. Carefully screw it into your case and it should look something like this. I was missing some screws for my fan, so I had to mount them on this white radiator that I got, but it all works the same in the end. You can skip this step if you have the correct length screws. Here I'm just taking the top off the case so that we can mount the CPU cooler's radiator, and then just secure it with screws. Extra points if you have a little fur baby helping you out. Look at this little fluffy boy. Next I'm just securing my fans on the back side, but this is just because I have the radiator there. If you don't, you can skip this step. Next up is installing the power supply, so I'm just unboxing the one that I got from NCXT. It's an 850 watt power supply, so that's going to be plenty in this build. I'm placing the power supply in the case and then just screwing it in. These are all the cables that connect to the front of my case, so I'm routing them through the hole so I can easily plug them into the motherboard on the other side. Next, I'll get all the cables I need and plugging them into my power supply. Once that's done, it's time to connect all the CPU cooler fans that is on my radiator, and I just connect them to this fan splitter and hide them. With that out of the way, we're gonna connect my motherboard cable to this really cool extension cable that I got that lights up in RGB colors. It's from XPG and I'll link it down below. Here I'm just connecting my SATA cables. And of course, hiding them away. Now it's time to start plugging things into the motherboard itself, starting with the front panel connectors we routed earlier. Careful when you plug these in, make sure you're plugging these in the right way or you can break some pins. We'll continue by plugging in the motherboard's power as well as the CPU. I'm routing my cables up and away from the motherboard for a cleaner look. Up next is the graphics card. As I said in the beginning of this video, I have to use my old graphics card, which is a shame because this is only a 1050 Ti, but I do have a 3060 Ti that I will be swapping out immediately after this video is done. It's just policy stuff, so I can't show it. I'm also finally upgrading to an Elgato 4K 60 Pro. My old capture card only did 1080p, so this is a great upgrade. I'll also be putting in a sound card. This is mostly for the built-in lighting effects, but it's also got some cool audio features. And that's it. Let's see if it boots up. This is the best feeling for sure, seeing that it actually works and there's no issues. Before I show you what it looks like in my setup, there's one more thing we gotta do. We're gonna make this black CPU white. I'll link this product down below. I think it looks so much better and fits in the theme of the white and RGB so much more. Just one more quick side note, the CPU cooler I'm using from NCXT has a built-in LCD display where you can display literally any GIF of your choice. Here's a quick glance of how it works. I think it's super cool. And that's it. That's the PC build all done. I'm super happy with it. I think it looks amazing. I definitely like this style more than my previous one, which again, you can check in the card above. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Would you want a PC that looks like this? If you do, take a look in the description for links to all the products. Also, don't forget to subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!